Hello students, welcome to session 2 of objective exercise in electrochemistry. Other session we have done some selected questions. Today I am starting off with question number 26. See, he is saying that pH of a solution used in hydrogen electrode, which is a gas electrode of course, changed from 0 to 7 it seems. Then the questions asked are whether its electrode potential would, what happens to its electrode potential is the question, and increases by 0.059 volts is the first option, decreases by 0.059 volts is the second option, increases by 0.41 volts is the third option, decreases by 0.41 volts is the fourth option. Now you see, again we should be applying elimination method here, means which are the not suitable options. To understand that, let us write the Nernst equation for hydrogen electrode. H plus gains 1 electron to become half H2. I can write it this way. For this reaction, if I write E is equal to E naught plus 0.059 by 1 log of concentration of H plus. Log of concentration of H plus. This is the Nernst equation. Now, instead of directly giving H plus concentration, he has mentioned pH values. Now, initial pH was 0. What is pH? My negative logarithm of H plus ion concentration, and that happened to be 0. Then H plus ion concentration comes out to be 1. 10 power 0 is 1. Whereas, final what happened? pH became 7. pH 7 means H plus ion concentration, if you simplify, minus log 10 power 7, 10 power, minus log H plus concentration is equal to 7. Then if you simplify and get anti-log for it, you will get H plus ion concentration is equal to 10 power minus 7. Okay, so H plus concentration has changed from 1 molar to 10 power minus 7 molar. Okay. Now, let us remove the meaningless options. When concentration of H plus has decreased so much, from Nernst equation you can clearly see electrode potential is directly proportional to the H plus concentration. If it goes above 1 molar, something gets added to E naught. E naught is anyhow 0. If it goes below 1 molar, something gets subtracted from 0. So, here the concentration has decreased, so voltage increases is a meaningless option. Now, obviously, voltage decreases. Now, we need to work on whether answer is this or this. Actually, without calculation, I can tell. Why? If this value log of H plus concentration comes equal to 1, then minus 1, sorry, comes equal to minus 1. That means if H plus ion concentration were 10 power minus 1, if it is 10 power minus 1, log 10 power minus 1 comes out to be minus 1. Then it would have decreased by 0.059 because minus 1 into 1. Whereas here it is decreasing by 10 power minus 7 molar, means something gets multiplied with 0.059. So obviously answer must be option D. If you are confused what am I doing, I'll just solve it for you. See, observe here. E is equal to, E naught is 0 plus 0.059 log 10 power minus 7. You know very well, log A power M is M log A. So, minus 7 log 10, and log 10 is 1. So, what happens? 0 minus, because minus 7 I am taking the minus here, 0 minus 0.59 into 7. 0.059 into 7 might come 0.41. You can calculate and check it. That is the only option we are left with. Okay, clear? So that is question number 26. Again, a question in which concepts of electrochemistry cumulated with the concepts of ionic equilibrium. Last session only I have told you plenty of Nernst equation related questions or galvanic cell related questions will be cumulated with the concepts from ionic equilibrium. I am switching to question number 29. Hope you remember the rules. Pause the video, go through the question, try solving it and then come back here. Okay. Now, see, a reaction in equilibrium is given, that is solid iron reacting with aqueous solution of zinc ions giving rise to aqueous solution of ferrous ions and depositing solid zinc, and E naught value was given to be minus 0.32 volts. While understanding itself, please understand cell potential he is giving negative. That means he is representing a non-spontaneous reaction here. See, while reading question itself, we should comprehend in mind. Now, another common sense aspect. From school itself, you know very well, zinc is more reactive than iron. So, zinc can displace iron from its solution, but iron cannot displace zinc from its solution. So, he is showing here iron displacing zinc from its solution. So, obviously, reaction must be non-spontaneous. Clear? Now, what is he asking you? An iron piece is placed in 1 molar zinc 2 plus solution. Then equilibrium concentration of Fe2 plus he is asking. So once the reaction attains equilibrium, what will be the concentration? Now he has given a non-spontaneous reaction, but to calculate in Nernst equation, we need to take a spontaneous reaction. So spontaneous reaction is going to be Fe2 plus zinc in equilibrium with iron plus zinc 2 plus would be a spontaneous reaction. Now what do you need here? You want equilibrium concentration of Fe2 plus. Because we have considered a spontaneous reaction, E naught cell is going to be 0.32 volts. Now at equilibrium, you know very well the cell will not be functioning, no flow of electrons will be happening. That's why E cell will be 0. Now directly I will write the Nernst equation here. E cell I have assumed 0 is equal to E naught cell, he has given 0.32 plus, I am taking plus 0.059 by how many electrons are involved? Whether zinc losing electrons or ferrous gaining electrons, either ways you take, there are 2 electrons involved. 2 log of, because I have taken plus here, concentration, product of concentration of reactants by product of concentration of products you will get. Now zinc and iron being solids will get ignored, so you will be getting concentration of Fe2 plus by concentration of Zn2 plus. He has already given you concentration of Zn2 plus as 1 molar, so directly I can take log of Fe2 plus. Now what you need is this value, simple. So log of Fe2 plus concentration is equal to, okay, minus, see if you keep this one here, 0.32 comes this side and becomes 0 minus 0.32. So minus 0.32, if you cross multiply this one, into 2 divided by 0.059. This is the simplification you are left with for getting whatever the anti-log you have. Now let me check what were the options given to you. Okay. See here, if you observe options closely, 2-3 options are very close to each other. That's why we cannot dare to simplify it the way we like. We need to go a little carefully only. So, I mean, too much of rounding off is not allowed. That's what I'm saying. So, you can write minus 0.64 divided by, I'll take 0.059 as 0.06. 0.06. If I multiply both places by 100, then you will get 64 by 6. Now, 64 will divide 6 how many times? 1, minus is of course there, 1, 0 I can keep. So you are going to get 6 ones are 6, 0 if you are taking, then 40 it's going to be. 6 6 are 36, then you will be left with 4 again, so 6, so approximately minus 10.67 you will get. So log of Fe2 plus concentration is minus 10.67 recurring, maybe 10.667 I can take. Okay, now to get Fe2 plus concentration you need to take anti-log of this value, and we have already, when I was discussing theory, I have told you whenever you have to take anti-log for a negative value, you can't keep the mantissa negative, you have to convert the mantissa positive. To convert the mantissa positive, plus 1, minus 1 you put. Minus 1 will be added to characteristic so that it will become minus 11. Now 1 minus 0.667. So plus 1 minus 0.667 we are going to do. So 3, 3, 3. So plus 0.33. So 11 bar point 333 something you are going to get. Now you are going to take, for getting Fe2 plus concentration, you are going to take anti-log of 11 bar point 333. So go to your anti-log table, find 0.33 under 3 something. So you are going to get answer close to 1.4 into 10 power minus 11 molar. I told you, you will get 4 digits when you see the anti-log. Move one digit right to the, put the decimal after first digit to the right, and then multiply it by 10 to the power of characteristic. Here characteristic is minus 11. So multiply by 10 power minus 11. So this is how, when, I mean, we have solved plenty of questions like this where equilibrium, I mean electrode potential or cell potential is given and concentrations are asked. Here instead of asking a single electrode, he has given a cell reaction, and instead of directly giving the cell reaction, he gave a reverse reaction. Simply to observe your concentration, check your attention levels and your abilities, that's all. Okay. Next I am switching to question number 30. Let us understand the contents of the question. See, a complex is formed, zinc reacting with 4 moles of ammonia to form tetramine zinc 2 plus complex, we call it. Tetramine zinc 2 complex. So a tetramine zinc 2 complex is being formed. For this, the electrode potential value is given to be minus 1.03 volts. Minus 1.03 volts for this reaction. Then for zinc 2 plus gaining 2 electrons to become zinc, this is a familiar value, the electrode potential is minus 0.76 volts. These are the two informations given to you. Now the question asked is, calculate stability constant for this complex compound. Stability constant can be denoted by K. Calculate stability constant for this compound. Now, the technical problem behind solving this question is, you are supposed to have some fundamental knowledge of coordination compounds or complex compounds, which is chapter number 9 of your second year chemistry. So it is sensible to learn this after understanding a bit about complex compounds or coordination compounds, but don't worry, I'll briefly explain you the fundamental knowledge required, then we will get into the solving the problem using concepts of electrochemistry that we know. See, as I was already telling you in the last session also, there are a set of special inorganic salts in which Small ions enter into coordinate covalent bonding such that individual ion will not be independent. If you put these substances into water, all the ions will not independently break. Are you understanding? So some of the ions would have entered into coordination compound formation such that that will exist as a complex ion. This is an example of a complex ion where between zinc and ammonia there is coordinate covalent bond, so that when you put this into solutions it will remain as this complex ion. The zinc ion Zn2 plus separately doesn't come out into the solution. That is a specialty of complex compounds or coordination compounds. First point to be understood. Then second thing, how do we calculate oxidation state of zinc in this? It's simple. See, ammonia is a neutral compound, you know very well. In coordination chemistry, the central metal is taking electrons, a pair of electrons from the groups like anions or neutral molecules which have lone pair of electrons and forming a coordinate covalent bond. The fellow who is supplying electrons to form a coordinate covalent bond is called ligand. What do you call it? Ligand. Here ammonia is the ligand, and in coordination chemistry the ammonia ligand is named as amine. Please don't think it is any amine group or amide ion or anything. Ammonia has the name amine as a ligand in coordination chemistry. Now, the amine ligand or ammonia is a neutral species, you know very well. It is neither cation nor anion. Now, if you want to calculate oxidation state of zinc here, X plus 4 into 0 must be equal to plus 2, right? Because total sum of the charges on all the species should be equal to charge present on the ion, and assume charge on zinc is X, then charge on ammonia is 0. X plus 4 into 0 is equal to plus 2. Therefore, X is plus 2. So, zinc is in its plus 2 state here. So, please understand, zinc has changed from 0 oxidation state to plus 2 oxidation state. By the way, this equation was not balanced if you notice carefully. Charges are not balanced. Because these 2 electrons are lost, I can mention 2 electrons there. So, zinc has lost 2 electrons and has undergone oxidation, and for that the electrode potential shown is minus 1.03 volts. Coming back to the context, the stability constant. What is stability constant? See, as I was telling you, between metal and ligand there is a coordinate covalent bond, right? Now you observe, suppose here there are 4 ligands, I will assume 4 ligands only. Say there is a metal cation Mn plus combining with 4 ligands L and forming a complex ML4. Then of course the formed complex might dissociate and form this. Now if I write equilibrium constant for this, the expression for equilibrium constant will be concentration of ML4 divided by concentration of Mn plus into concentration of L to the power 4, right? Now, look at this equilibrium constant. This is directly proportional to the concentration of the complex and inversely proportional to the ions. What does it mean? If this equilibrium constant value comes larger, then the concentration of the complex formed is larger. When complex is formed very readily such that the K value comes larger, then such complex is a stable complex. You know very well, nature always would like to lead to stability. I have told you many times this one. If any process is spontaneous in a given direction A to B, then B must be more stable than A. So, if you are noticing by the time equilibrium is attained, if you are noticing larger concentration of ML4, that means ML4 must be stable. That's why it is formed more readily from this species. So, logic is simple. If the value of this equilibrium constant in this case comes larger, it means that this is formed more readily. The one which is formed more readily is more stable complex. So, simply equilibrium constant written for a reaction representing the formation of a complex will be the stability constant of that complex. Same thing you are going to learn in coordination chemistry also, and I think it is not too difficult to understand, that's why I took it up here. So that way, if you come to the present complex which is given, zinc cation is combining with 4 ammonia molecules to form zinc tetramine zinc 2 complex, right? Now simple. If I write the equilibrium constant for this, it will be equal to concentration of tetramine zinc 2 complex divided by concentration of zinc 2 plus into concentration of ammonia to the power 4. This would be the expression for stability constant for this particular complex. So you need to get an expression for stability constant K in Nernst equation, and then substitute, for this expression you take K and solve for K. For that, to write Nernst equation, first of all, we must have the cell reaction, right? To know the cell reaction, we need a cathodic reaction and anodic reaction, add both of them, get the net cell reaction so that you can write the Nernst equation, right? Now, you have an oxidation reaction here and you have a reduction reaction here. Now, he has clearly given you, if you look into the question, he has clearly given you E0 for complex / zinc plus ammonia is minus 1.03 volts. That means reduction potential only he has given for this reaction, and that is this much. And reduction potential for zinc undergoing reduction he has given this one. Now, out of which is the larger value? Minus 0.76 is the larger value. So we are pretty clear, this would be cathode, that would be anode. So exactly same equations are given. Let us write that. So anodic reaction or oxidation half reaction is zinc plus 4 moles of ammonia giving rise to tetramine zinc 2 complex. Similarly, cathodic reaction or reduction reaction is zinc 2 plus gaining 2 electrons giving rise to zinc. Here also 2 electrons, there also 2 electrons. So equation can be added directly. Zinc gets cancelled, electrons get cancelled. So you are left with zinc 2 plus 4 moles of ammonia giving rise to zinc tetramine zinc 2 complex. Now you observe, children, this is going to be the net cell reaction for which I need to write the Nernst equation. So I might have to rub the board on the top. So I'll quickly revise what we have done so far. See, he wanted stability constant. I have explained you that for any reaction in which a coordination complex is formed is shown. Formation of coordination complex is shown. The equilibrium constant written for that formation reaction is called its stability constant. Here the central metal is not metal atom, it is metal ion. So that metal ion combining with 4 moles of ligand ammonia to form complex is the formation reaction. So the expression obtained, equilibrium constant expression obtained for this equilibrium constant represents the stability constant. Now I have taken from the given 2 equations, I have taken the net cell reaction. Now you notice the net cell reaction is nothing but the formation reaction we got. That is where we ended up. Now we will get the expression for K, substitute in Nernst equation and solve it. So let me write the Nernst equation. Nernst equation for this net cell reaction will be E cell is equal to E naught cell plus 0.059 by 2, of course 2 electrons involved, log of, because I took plus here, concentration of reactants by concentration of products. So because in stability constant I need products by reactants, better I take minus here. Okay, so because I am taking minus here, products by reactants I will get. Okay. Now, this whole expression just now I explained you represents K value, the equilibrium constant for formation of the complex, which is nothing but stability constant. That's why I'll replace the whole thing by K. At the same time, E naught cell, let me calculate. Cathodic potential was minus 0.76. Anodic potential was minus 1.03. Minus of minus becomes plus 1.03. So obviously it is 1.03 minus 0.76. 13 minus 6 is 7. Okay. 9 minus 7 is 2. So you are getting 0.27. So E naught cell is 0.27. And because we are considering formation of complex at equilibrium, because I am taking equilibrium constant here, so let's say the electrons flowing will be 0. So E cell is 0. 0 is equal to 0.27 minus 0.059 by 2 log K. Now what you need is K value. So log K is equal to 0.27 into 2 divided by 0.059 you would get. Okay. This will be 0.54 of course, divided by 0.06 approximately. So I can write 54 by 6, which will come 9. I am rounding it off here. You can cross check with your options, this rounding off works. So log K is 9, so K will be 10 power 9. Answer that is closest to 10 power 9 will be your answer. You can check your options and see what's your answer. Okay, that is question number 30. It involved a concept that you need to learn later in complex compounds, but however I have given you those fundamentals required. Understand and follow it. Okay. Now let's move on to question number 31. If you check question number 31, there is a cell given where hydrogen at 1 atmosphere slash H plus with some X molar concentration double slash H plus with 1 molar concentration slash hydrogen at 1 atmosphere. Now you know, as per the cell representation, left half is anode, the right half is cathode. Now if you notice, left half vessel also is hydrogen electrode, right half vessel also is hydrogen electrode. Even partial pressures of hydrogen gas in both the electrodes are same. Only thing different is the concentrations of hydrogen in both the electrodes. Now, what do you call such galvanic cells? Hope you remember I discussed when same electrode is used in both sides, due to difference in concentration the potential is generated, you call them concentration cells. So it is a concentration cell prepared using variation of concentration in H plus ion using hydrogen electrodes. Right. Now if you remember, we have given expression for Nernst equation for concentration cells as E cell is equal to, because both cathode and anode will be same electrode, SRP values will get subtracted and E naught cell will be 0. So E cell is equal to 0.059 by N log C2 by C1, where C2 should be larger than C1 because I have taken plus here. If I have taken minus here, C1 by C2. Why? For E cell to come spontaneous, this value should be more than 1. For value to be more than 1, C2 should be larger. Now, generally which one will be larger? Cathodic concentration should be larger because potential at cathode must be larger. For potential to be larger, cationic concentration must be larger. That's why C2 must be larger. Means, what do you understand? Concentration of H plus must be less than 1 molar in left half vessel. Concentration of H plus must be less than 1 molar in left half vessel. Now what is he asking in the question? I gave you the background of the question. I already took the equation required also. Then what is he asking? He is asking you pH of the solution in this cell. He is asking you pH of the solution in this cell, and options he has given you are 1, 4, 7 and 10. Let us solve it now. See, C2 is 1 molar here and C1 is whatever the H plus concentration, that x molar that we need to calculate. Now let us substitute. E cell is equal to, if I take H plus plus 1 electron, giving rise to half H2 as the reaction, then I'll get N value 1. So 0.059 by 1 log of C2 1 molar. So 1 by H plus concentration I can take. Whereas for H plus concentration to substitute for pH, you know the definition of pH is negative logarithm of H plus ion concentration. What is pH? Minus log H plus. So here I need an expression minus log H plus. That's why I'll take minus here. If I take minus here, what happens? Minus 0.059 log of H plus it becomes. Now what it will be? Plus 0.059 into minus log H plus, I can write it as. Now minus log H plus is nothing but pH. So I can write it as 0.059 pH. So now E cell value. What is the E cell value? He has given you the potential. E cell he has given you as 0.59 volts. Therefore, I can write in the place of E cell 0.59. 0.59 is equal to 0.059 pH, or pH is equal to 0.59 by 0.059, which is equal to 10. So your answer is option B, that is pH is 10. Okay. Another question, cumulated with ionic equilibrium. Please keep observing. Okay. Right. From question number 32, I think we are switching from questions related to Nernst equation to the questions of electrolytic conductance. Try to once revise all the formulae if possible related to electrolytic conductance, and then start listening to this. You would relate it better. If you already remember, well and good. See, resistance of an electrolytic conductor is given 100 ohms. Here if you notice, two solutions are given. Solution 1, where concentration is 0.1 molar, resistance is 100 ohms, and conductivity kappa is 1.29 Siemens meter inverse. SI units are given, be careful. Solution 1. Then he has given another solution, solution 2, where its concentration is 0.02 molar. Concentration is 0.02 molar. But I am afraid in your book, in one of the places, in the worksheet, in one of the places, it is printed as 0.2 molar. Please check. So concentration is 0.02 molar. For this solution, resistance is found to be 520 ohms. Then he is asking lambda m of the second solution. He wants the lambda m of second solution. So please understand, there is a standard solution for which conductivity is known. There is another solution for which conductivity has to be found. And by the way, to find lambda m, you need kappa, right? So indirectly he is asking you to find kappa for this solution and then go with finding lambda m for this solution. For all these things to happen, you know, first let me write the basic formulae required. Lambda m and options given to you were, let me put that also, 1.24 into 10 power minus 4 Siemens meter square mole inverse, SI units it is given. Option B is 12.4 into 10 power minus 4. Option C is 124 into 10 power minus 4. Option D is 1240 into 10 power minus 4. So you can see options are quite far away from each other. So while doing calculations, we can make use of it. I'll explain you how. Now, coming to the basic formula required. Because it is SI units, lambda m formula would be kappa by molarity into 1000. Kappa by concentration into 1000. So for calculating lambda m of second solution, you need kappa of second solution. Now, what is the formula for kappa? 1 by R into G star, otherwise called L by A, that is cell constant. So kappa is equal to 1 by R into cell constant. So to calculate kappa, you need resistance as well as cell constant, whereas now in the whole situation required, concentration is given directly. To calculate kappa, you need resistance as well as cell constant. Resistance is given directly. What you need is cell constant. Now to calculate that cell constant only, information about solution 1 is given. There, resistance as well as kappa is given, so you can calculate cell constant. So, it is a simple problem where using the information from solution 1, find out cell constant, then use that cell constant in solution 2 to calculate lambda m, kappa, whatever. So, first, finding cell constant. As I told you already, kappa is equal to 1 by r into cell constant. Therefore, cell constant is equal to kappa into r. Cell constant G star is equal to kappa into r. For first solution, what is the kappa value given? 1.29 Siemens meter inverse. Into what is the resistance given? 100. So, it will be 129 meter inverse, I can say. It will be 129 meter inverse. Now, please understand, why are we using the cell constant obtained here to calculate the value here? Simple. They would have used the same conductivity cell for this solution as well as this solution. Then obviously, that's why it is called cell constant, right? So obviously, for solution 2 also cell constant will be the same. That is how conductivity experiments are done. Because the conductivity cells will be very small to measure their dimensions, what do? They take a standard solution whose conductivity is known, and by determining the resistance of the standard solution whose conductivity is known, they will find out the cell constant of that solution. Then they will remove that standard solution and add any solution whose conductivity has to be determined, resistance has to be determined, and they will use the same cell constant dimensions to calculate for this. Same thing is given here. So you got the cell constant value 129 meter inverse. Now come to solution 2. For second solution, now you got cell constant, so kappa will be 129 by resistance value 520. Then lambda m, substitute in the place of here. 129 by 520 is the kappa value into 1 by molarity is 0.02. I'll write it as 2 into 10 power minus 2 into 1000, that is 10 power 3. Now 10 power minus 2 cancels 10 power 3 and you will be left with 10 here. So you are left with 129 by 520 into 20. 129 by 520 into 20. Now try to get 10 power 4 in the denominator. Put it up. You will get 10 power minus. I'm explaining you how to minimize your calculating time utilizing the options given. Okay. In all the options you have something into 10 power minus 4, right? Now that something is in unit digits here, 10 digits here, 100 hundreds here and thousands here. That's why what you do, get a 10 power minus 4 and see the remaining ratio gives what kind of value, whether this or this or this and so on. Now that way if I have to do, see here I want 10 power minus 4, right? So here 2 digits, here 2 digits if I move. 129 by 5.2 into 0.2. If I do it, then it will be 10 power 4 overall. That 10 power 4 goes up and becomes 10 power minus 4. Now what are you left with? See here. Or either ways you can do. Now what happens? You have got 5.2 into 0.2. Okay. What will you get out of this? It's going to be 52 into 2 will be 114 actually. So 2 decimals. So you are going to get 1.14. Now you are left with 129 by 1.14 into 10 power minus 4. Are you understanding? See, if you are smart in calculations and you wish to do your own calculations, I am leaving it to you. But I am trying to give you the tips. Okay. I moved 4 decimals to the left so that I will get 10 power 4 here. So I took 10 power minus 4. So 5.2 into 0.2 comes out to be 1.14. So 129 by 1.14 should come something closer to 124. That's why the answer would be 124 into 10 power minus 4. Okay, this is how you can minimize your calculations using the options, and it's a direct question, of course. Clear? Let's move on to question number 33. In question number 33, for a particular acid, weak acid ionization constant is given, which is 25 into 10 power minus 6. Then equivalent conductance of that particular acid is given, that is 19.6 Siemens centimeter square equivalent inverse, means CGS units he has given. Then concentration he has given 0.01 molar. Then he is asking equivalent conductance at infinite dilution, that is limiting equivalent conductance he is asking you. And options he has given you are 250, 196, 392 and then 384. These two options appear to be closer to each other, so let's be careful with the calculations. Now moving on. What are the basic formulae required here? You know very well, degree of dissociation alpha is equal to lambda C by lambda naught. Equivalent conductance at a given concentration divided by equivalent conductance at infinite dilution gives you degree of dissociation. Now, if you know degree of dissociation, already he has given you lambda equivalent C at a given concentration, he has given you 19.6 value, so you can calculate lambda naught. So what we need is degree of dissociation. How do you calculate degree of dissociation? From Ostwald's dilution law, you also know that degree of dissociation alpha is equal to root Ka by C. From this formula from Ostwald's dilution law, calculate alpha, then substitute alpha under these values here to get lambda naught equivalent. That's your final answer. Now concentration is given 10 power minus 2. So alpha is equal to 25 into 10 power minus 6 divided by 10 power minus 2 root. We will be left with 10 power minus 4. So we will be left with 5 into 10 power minus 2. So alpha is 0.05. 5 into 10 power minus 2 is equal to 19.6 divided by lambda naught equivalent. Okay. Therefore, lambda naught equivalent is equal to 19.6 by 5 into 10 power minus 2. 10 power minus 2 goes up and becomes 100. So you are left with 1960 divided by 5. 1960 is close to 2000. 2000 divided by 5 should be 400. Answer closest to 400 is 392. I think 392 will be your answer. You can simplify and get it. Okay. That is question based on lambda, molar conductance or equivalent conductance of weak electrolytes. Now if you notice, again you had to use Ostwald's dilution law. That is a concept from ionic equilibrium. Again and again, please understand, electrochemistry, ionic equilibrium, redox reactions, these three are like one chapter, as you can notice. Let's move on to question 34. Lambda naught for 1/3 of aluminium cation is given, that is 63 Siemens centimeter square mole inverse. Lambda naught for half of sulfate ion is given, 80 Siemens centimeter square mole inverse, and lambda naught for aluminium sulfate is asked, Al2SO4 taken thrice is asked. Okay, options given to you are 14.3, I am not writing the units will be same as this, 14.3, 206, 286 and 858. Now children, this is not more of chemistry, it is more of mathematics, that too additions, subtractions, multiplications, divisions. Why? He could have directly given you lambda naught of aluminum cation. Simply he has given you 1/3 of it, you have to calculate for full of it. He has given you for half of it, you have to calculate for full of it. So lambda naught of Al3 plus will be equal to, for 1/3 it is 63, so for whole of it will be 63 into 3. 189. Okay. Then lambda naught for half of sulfate is given, that is 80, full of it will be 160. 80 into 2, so full of it will be 160. C1 centimeter square mole inverse, C1 centimeter square mole inverse. Now we got ionic conductances for aluminum cation and sulfate anion. Now use Kohlrausch law. According to Kohlrausch law, lambda naught of aluminum sulfate Al2SO4 taken thrice is equal to 2 into lambda naught of aluminum plus 3 into lambda naught of value of sulfate. Now you have everything there substituted. So 2 into 189 plus 3 into 160. See, please observe here, 16 threes itself is 48. So here itself you have got 480. So answer should be much more than 500. 858 is, seems to be the nearest. You can calculate and get the answer. 190 here, so 380. 380 plus 480, something close to. Okay? Right, so answer is option D. This question was based on Kohlrausch law, a direct, simple addition and multiplication kind of question. Okay? Now moving on to question 35. Kappa for saturated barium sulfate solution is given and was found to be 3.06 into 10 power minus 6 CGS units, C1 centimeter inverse. Okay? Then limiting equivalent conductivity also is given 1.53 C1 centimeter square equivalent inverse. Then he is asking you solubility product for the same. If you remember, in the last session also we have done some questions related to solubility product, and while explaining applications of Kohlrausch law also I have explained you what is solubility product. So let me directly jump into the solution. See, BaSO4 is a barium sulfate is a sparingly soluble salt. I already told you 3-4 times that any salt that forms precipitate during its formation will be sparingly soluble, and barium sulfate is a white precipitate, you know that. So if barium sulfate ionizes, it forms Ba2 plus plus SO4 2 minus. Now there will be an equilibrium between solid barium sulfate and ions formed due to dissolution of barium sulfate in solution. Now the solubility product value for this will be product of ions formed due to dissolution. So concentration of Ba2 plus into concentration of SO4 2 minus. So what you need is product of these two concentrations, that is your solubility product. Understood? Now he has given you kappa value, conductivity value he has given you, and lambda naught value he has given you. Now how do I get solubility product from these two values? Let me explain that. To calculate solubility product, you need solubility. Why? Probably you have studied this again in equilibrium chapter, but I'll have to quickly revise it for your help. See here. What would be the concentration of these ions? I might add 1 mole of it, half mole of it, quarter mole of it, how much ever I add. Very small proportion will dissolve, rest of it will remain undissolved. That small proportion which is dissolved is called solubility of this particular salt. And if you express solubility in terms of moles per liter, then solubility and molarity will be same. Then what would be the concentration of barium cations formed? Solubility moles per liter, S moles per liter, where S is solubility. Similarly, what would be the concentration of barium sulfate? S moles per liter, because S is solubility. So if S is solubility of barium sulfate, then for every 1 mole of barium sulfate dissolved, 1 mole of barium cations and 1 mole of sulfate anions are formed, right? That's why for S moles of barium sulfate dissolved, S moles of barium cations, S moles of sulfate anions will be formed per liter. Now KSP is nothing but concentration of barium cation into concentration of sulfate anion. What is the concentration of barium cations? S moles per liter. What is the concentration of sulfate anions? S moles per liter. That is equal to S square. So, to get your KSP value, you need to square solubility value. For that, you need solubility. Again, one of the applications of Kohlrausch law. Go to applications of Kohlrausch law. I would have taught you that solubility is equal to kappa into, because CGS units are given, 1000 will be in the numerator. Otherwise, 1000 would have been in the denominator. Kappa into 1000 by solubility, because we are taking molarity as solubility in terms of molarity. So, in place of molarity, I am taking, lambda m naught is equal to a solubility, because in place of molarity I am taking solubility. Now lambda equivalent he has given you, lambda not equivalent he has given you, substitute it here. So S is equal to kappa value 3.06 into 10 power minus 6 divided by, into 1000 of course, 10 power 3 divided by lambda naught, how much? 1.53. Simplify it and get your answer. 10 power minus 3 will be left. 1.5 will divide 3 2 times approximately. So 2 into 10 power minus 3, you are going to get solubility. So solubility is 2 into 10 power minus 3. Now you want solubility product S square, that will be 4 into 10 power minus 6. So quickly, a sparingly soluble salt was given. Its conductivity and limiting molar conductivity, limiting equivalent conductivity are given. Solubility product is asked. Now again from ionic equilibrium concept, for sparingly soluble salts, KSP will be based on the formula of the salt. KSP will be calculated in terms of its solubilities. Because barium sulfate contains 1 mole each of both cation and anion, so for every 1 mole of barium sulfate, 1 mole of barium cation, 1 mole of sulfate anion is formed. So for S moles each is formed. So for salts like barium sulfate, which are AB type, 1 mole cation, 1 mole anion, so which are AB type, KSP will be equal to S square. From applications of Kohlrausch law, we calculated solubility using limiting equivalent conductivity and kappa value, and then took the square of solubility to get the solubility product. Okay, let's move on to question number 36. Okay. For the weak electrolyte acetic acid, the acid ionization constant is given 1.8 into 10 power minus 5. Limiting molar conductivity is given 390.7 Siemens centimeter square mole inverse, the CGS units. Then concentration is given 0.01 molar, and he is asking you conductivity, molar conductivity at a given concentration. Okay, and options he has given you are 1.657, 16.57, 165.7 and 133. Now see here, question is similar to 33rd question that you have already solved. What we need is lambda naught at a given concentration, lambda m value at a given concentration. What is given is lambda m value at infinite dilution or zero concentration. Now you know very well, degree of dissociation alpha is equal to lambda m at a given concentration by lambda m at zero concentration. So previously this was given, this had to be calculated in 33rd question. Here it is reverse. This is given, this has to be calculated. And for calculating alpha, as usual, he has given you Ka. So absolutely similar question. So alpha is equal to square root of Ka by C from Ostwald's dilution law. So 1.8 into 10 power minus 5 by 10 power minus 2 root. If you simplify, it will be 10 power minus 3. But to get the root properly, I can write square root of 18 into 10 power minus 4. Right? Now you see, root 18 is, 18 is not a perfect square. Which is the nearest perfect square? This side you have got 16. That side you have got 25. It is in between 16 and 25. So the value of root 18 must be between 4 and 5. And since it is closer to 16, slightly more than 4. So I'm just doing an approximation, nothing wrong in it. So approximately some 4.2 or 4.3 into 10 power minus 2. That is your alpha value. Maybe you can say 0.043. Okay, now coming here. 4.3 into 10 power minus 2 is equal to lambda mc by 390.7. Then lambda mc is equal to 390.7 into 4.3 into 10 power minus 2. 10 power minus 2, if I multiply here, it will become 3.9. 3.9 into 4.3, 4 into 4, 16. Which answer is closest to 16? So was there any harm in me rounding off or taking approximation? No harm, because options are quite far away from each other. Please, whenever you are doing numerical calculations in entrance exams, please don't end up calculating everything and wasting at least 2 minutes of your time where you can solve one more question and then looking at the options. Wrong. First, before starting to solve or starting to do the calculation only, you must have comprehended in your mind how are the options. Do I need to be very accurate with my calculations? For example, in this question, if there were an option some 17.32 or 17.15, something like that, very close to 16.57, then I would have been very careful with my calculations. But here, there is no need. The options are quite far away from each other. So, don't waste your time by doing the entire calculation. One eye should be at calculating, the other eye should be at the options. Okay. Let's move on to question 37. Limiting equivalent conductivity of a weak electrolyte is given as 400 Siemens centimeter square equivalent inverse. Again, CGS units. Alpha is given as 2%. In terms of fraction, it will be 0.02, of course. Concentration is given as 0.1 normal. Because it is equivalent conductivity, he should give you normality. And cell constant is given to you 0.4 centimeter inverse. Now he is asking you how much would be the resistance, and options he has given you. Resistance units are ohm, so 200 ohm or 300 ohm or 400 ohm or 500 ohm. Options are quite comfortable, no issues. Now, I have limiting molar conductivity and I have alpha value, I have concentration, I have cell constant, I need resistance. So you please understand, overall we are supposed to calculate resistance in terms of conductivity aspects. Please be very clear. He did not give you resistivity or anything. So you need to calculate resistance from conductivity aspects. So begin with the end in mind. So what I need is resistance to be calculated in terms of conductivity. You know very well, kappa is equal to 1 by R into G star, that is cell constant. Therefore, R will be equal to G star by kappa. So if you could know conductivity, G star is directly given to you, kappa, cell constant is directly given to you. Divide the cell constant by kappa, you got your answer. Now what you need is this. Now how do you get that? Here the concepts related to molar conductivity are given to you. That's why go to kappa related to molar conductivity. Molar conductivity is equal to kappa into, because it is CGS units, 1000 comes in the numerator, kappa into 1000 by molarity, concentration, whatever, 0.1 normal given. Sorry, here in this case it is lambda equivalent, so kappa into 1000 by normality, lambda equivalent. Now kappa is equal to lambda equivalent into normality by 1000. So I can calculate kappa very conveniently if I have lambda equivalent at this concentration called 0.1 normal. But did he give you lambda equivalent at 0.1 normal? No. He gave you lambda equivalent at infinite dilution, zero concentration. Now what you need to do? Sorry. Reverse strategy. From alpha value and this lambda equivalent, limiting lambda equivalent value, we will calculate lambda equivalent at this concentration. From lambda equivalent at this concentration, we will calculate kappa. From kappa, we will calculate R. That's all, reverse. So I told you always, begin with the end in mind. Write the final one required. To calculate that, what do I need? This I need. To get this, what do I need? This I need. To get that, what do I need? These two I need. So, you know alpha is equal to lambda equivalent at a given concentration by lambda equivalent at infinite dilution or zero concentration. Now I want this, I have these two. 2 I will take it as 0.02. So lambda equivalent at a given concentration is equal to 0.02, that is alpha value, into this one, 400. So it will be 2 into 4, 8 it is going to be. Substitute here, 8 into 0.1, because normality is given 0.1, divided by 1000. Okay, 1000 goes up and becomes 10 power minus 3. Already you had 10 power minus 1 here. So 8 into 10 power minus 4 C1 centimeter inverse will be your kappa value. Now substitute here. 4 into 10 power minus 1 centimeter inverse divided by 8 into 10 power minus 4 C1 centimeter inverse. Centimeter over centimeters gets cancelled. C1 inverse is nothing but ohms. Okay, you will get answer in ohms, that's fine. So 10 power minus 3 denominator, 4 by 8 will be 0.5. So 0.5 into 10 power 3 you have, which will become 500 ohms. So option D is your answer. Clear? Let me move to question number 38. See, there are two solutions, ferrous sulfate solution and ferric sulfate solution, it seems. To both solutions, same quantity of electricity is passed. To both solutions, same quantity of electricity is passed. Now he is asking you ratio of weights of iron deposited at ferrous solution and ferric solution respectively. Ratio of weights of iron deposited at ferrous followed by ferric he is asking. So ferrous and ferric solutions respectively. Tell me which concept is this. So from concept of electrolytic conductance we have shifted now to concept of electrolysis. Faraday's laws of electrolysis. Which Faraday's law is it? It is Faraday's second law. According to Faraday's second law, W1 by W2 is equal to E1 by E2. So the ratio of weights of iron deposited at ferrous solution by iron deposited at ferric solution will be equal to equivalent. So I'll write here. Weight of iron deposited at ferrous solution by weight of iron deposited at ferric solution will be equal to equivalent weight of ferrous ion by equivalent weight of ferric ion. Atomic mass of iron is 56. Valency of ferrous is 2. Valency of ferric is 3. So 56 by 2 by 56 by 3. Simplify, the ratio will be 3:2. So ratio of weights of iron deposited at ferrous solution and ferric solution when same quantity of electricity is passed through them will be 3:2. Okay. See, 39th question is a repetition of 35th question, so I am just skipping it. We are moving on to question number 40. Okay. In question number 40, there is a copper wire. Into that copper wire, a current of 10 power minus 6 amperes is passed per second. Then he is asking number of electrons flowing through that per second. So he has given you current passed per second and he is asking you number of electrons flowing per second. Frankly speaking, it is not electrolysis, not concept of conductance, nothing. It is a basic science question. It can be answered simply. See, you know Q is equal to I into T. He is saying per second, so time is 1 second. Now, when time is 1 second, Q will be equal to I. So, whatever the current he has given is nothing but charge, coulombs. So, he is indirectly asking number of electrons in 10 power minus 6 coulombs. That is the question, that's all. Now you know very well 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs is 1 electron. 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs is 1 electron. Therefore, 10 power minus 6 coulombs is how many electrons? That is the question. So, 10 power minus 6 divided by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. 10 power minus 13 will be left out in the denominator. It goes up and becomes 10 power 13. Have I noted the options? I have not noted down the options here. Let us solve it. You cross check with the options. Okay. So here you have got 1 by 1.6. Simplify 1 by 1.6. You will get something 0.62 something. Okay. So that will become 6.2 into 10.12 electrons. Check the nearest option that you have. So it was a very simple fundamental science question. Now I am switching to question number 42. I am skipping question number 41 because exact similar model, question number 41 is based on electroplating, concept of electroplating of silver. Exact similar model we have solved in entrance corner 3.8 of EPL. So let us switch directly to question number 42. In question number 42, the current passed is 9.65 ampere. The time duration for which it was passed is 1 hour. Actually, not passed, drawn by Daniell cell. Sorry. Here, Daniell cell is an electrochemical cell, you know. It gives us electricity, you know. So, someone has drawn a current of 9.65 ampere for a period of 1 hour from Daniell cell. Now, he is asking you, the mass of zinc consumed would be how much? Because you know in Daniell cell zinc undergoes oxidation, so zinc metallic plate, its weight will be reduced. Then mass of copper gained is how much he is asking. You know in copper vessel reduction will occur, copper ions will gain electrons and deposit as pure copper. In zinc vessel, oxidation will occur. Zinc metal will lose electron, enter into zinc ions into the solution. That's why weight of zinc will be reduced, weight of copper will be increased as the cell is progressing. That we learnt in working of Daniell cell already. Now he is asking how much is increased, how much is consumed, how much is increased. The options he is giving you are mass of zinc followed by mass of copper, he has asked you. 11.77 grams and 11.43 grams. Option B 11.43 and 11.77. Option C 23.54 and 22.86. Option D 22.86 and 23.54. Here, let me explain you how to minimize your time to great extent in solving this question. First point to be noted, you need not calculate both. You calculate any one. Second point to be noted, see here, zinc equivalent weight is 65 by 2, that is 32.5. Copper equivalent weight is 64 by 2, that is 32. Actually 63.5, 31.25, 31.25 you will get, but we are just taking 32. Now, observe here, zinc equivalent weight is slightly more, so zinc loss of mass in zinc should be slightly larger than gain of mass in copper. He has given zinc consumed followed by copper gained. So first value should be larger than second value. That's why I can remove options B and D. Options A and C, LA, answer must be there within options A and C because first value should be larger than second value. Mass of zinc loss must be larger than mass of copper gained. Okay. That is one aspect. So our answer is in A and C only. Now it is enough if I calculate one because the options are absolutely different from each other. So any one I calculate, that would be enough. Right. Now charge is 9.65 into 60 into 60 because he has given 1 hour but I have to take time in seconds. 9.65 into 60 into 60 coulombs is the charge that is drawn from it. Now 96,500 coulombs would consume 32.5 grams of zinc. Therefore, 9.65 into 60 into 60 coulombs would consume how much? 32.5 by 96,500 into 9.65 into 60 into 60. The two zeros got cancelled. 9.65 will divide this 100 times. 100 will make it 0.325 into 6 are 36. Now tell me, where would the answer come closer to? Okay, there is no chance because 36 into 0.3, assume it is 40. 40 into 0.3, 43s are 120. So 12. So answer must be closer to 12. So it will be option A. Please observe minimum possible energy I am spending on calculations. I am analyzing the options. I am comprehending the options in my mind only while I am working out the question. But for that to be done, conceptually you should be very strong. Otherwise that is not possible. Please understand that. Okay. Now let's switch to question number 43. See, for depositing 1 gram of magnesium, it takes electricity worth 5 rupees it seems. For depositing 1 gram of magnesium, it is going to take electricity worth 5 rupees it seems. Then, what will be the cost for 10 grams of aluminium? What would be the cost for 10 grams of aluminium? Now simple. Let us answer the question. The options he has given you are 10 rupees, 27 rupees, 44 rupees and 67 rupees. Again the question is based on Faraday's laws only. You know very well the ratio of masses of substances deposited will be equal to their equivalent masses, ratio of equivalent masses. So please understand, cost of depositing 12 grams of magnesium will be equivalent to cost of depositing 9 grams of aluminium. Because you know 1 Faraday of electricity deposits equivalent mass of that substance. So as for Faraday's second law also, when you have to pass same quantity of electricity, the ratio of masses will be proportional to the ratio of equivalent masses. That's why how much ever cost it takes for depositing 12 grams of magnesium, same cost it will take for depositing 9 grams of aluminium, because both of them are their respective equivalent masses. Therefore, cost of 1 gram of magnesium will be equal to cost of 9 by 12 grams of aluminium, which is 5 rupees. Yes or no? Because he has said for depositing 1 gram of magnesium it takes 5 rupees. Now 12 grams of magnesium, 9 grams of magnesium same. Therefore 1 gram of magnesium will be equivalent to 9 by 12 grams of aluminium. So 9 by 12 grams of aluminium takes 5 rupees. 9 by 12 means how much? 3 by 4. Right? So 3 by 4 grams of aluminium takes 5 rupees. 5 rupees. Therefore 10 grams of aluminium takes how much? 5 by 3 by 4, so 5 into 4 by 3 it becomes into 10. Simplify it and get your answer. So, he has asked you cost of aluminium, cost required to deposit 10 grams of aluminium. He has given you cost required to deposit 1 gram of magnesium. I took concept of equivalence and solved this question. Okay. Let us solve question number 44 to 60 in the next session. Try to solve it along with me, and then whichever you felt tough, put the book aside and resolve them. Put the solution and video aside and resolve them. Okay. All the best. Let us meet in the next session.